Raymond's my brother, and I'd like to thank you for coming. I'm just going to share one quick story. Back when we were in band together in high school, so this was prior to Lincoln, he played the drums, and he had the big, because he was a big guy, they gave him the bass drum, and there was sort of this steady beat that you would keep, and the whole band would march on it, and it had this certain thing, and I was a trombone player, so I was right in front of them. And when we were playing, and he was the person who the whole band was based on his beat, and we were walking along between boom, 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 and then all of a sudden, it switched, and everybody was, and I remember looking back at him, and he said, he was like this. And so I never got the true story from him. And if he did it on purpose, but I loved my brother dearly, and he always marched to the beat of his own.
I was raised. And just thank you for coming.
Everybody here? I'm Ray's aunt, and a little story I have to tell is Ray was coming home from Texas, and so Ray and I, his dad, was going to the airport in Omaha to get him. And so we're sitting there waiting, and all these people, and here he comes off the plane, flip-flops, and it's wintertime. Flip-flops, shorts, tie-dye shirt, and his guitars flipped over his back. No bag. The whole airport was laughing. And then somebody said, "Did he have a bag?" I said, no bag, just his guitar. That's how we found him. And love him dearly, and thank you all, you kids, for coming.
Anybody else want to share something with us? I know there's a lot of stories out there. Come on, you guys.
You probably don't want to hear.
Yeah, that's true. Those are the ones we do want to hear. So we'll get me out of the way. So, I met Raymond way back. We're about the same age. I was born March 18th. He was 16th. Back when I was about 19 and he was probably 20. But when Ray came into our lives, Ray, his father, and Ray Jr. was always his own character, and just, I mean, I guess we've grown up all these years together because Ray is like a grandfather to my children. So, but I think that the most awesome thing about Ray Jr. again, he loved everybody, or just like, again, everybody was his friend. But the way that he treated my mother, I'll just say that because my mother is a gift giver, and she would package gifts, and all year long she's looking at things to give to people. And sometimes there's those things when you just go, oh, I really can't use this, but okay, thanks, Kate. Anyway, but Raymond never made my mom feel like it was a useless gift or something. I mean, Raymond made her feel so wonderful. And she would see something and just say, I know Raymond Jr. will love this. He'll just love it. I look at it and go, really, really? And then she'd tell me the story of, I gave that to Ray Jr. That's what we always call him, Ray Jr. And oh my gosh, she just loved it. She'd gush and say every word that he said. So, I mean, I know how he probably made you all feel. And I know how he made me feel personally. But again, to look at it with my mom, Kate, and Ray, the love that Ray has for his son, it's amazing. And I'm so glad that I've been a part of your lives and knew him for all the years that I have. So thank you for letting me be a part of your family, Ray.
Thanks. He loves you too.
And Kate is my mother too. And like Aaron said, Ray has been like a grandfather to my children. And when I think about his son, Ray, I have to say that if I were to have a father like Ray, I would be very proud. And I think Ray was the best son ever. He was such a good guy. He really was. Like Aaron said, is that he made everybody feel good. And I'm better for having known you and known Ray Jr. and Raybo. And so, thanks, Ray. And I'm sorry for your loss. I really am sorry. It's really heartbreaking.
I can't talk.
I'm Ray's cousin and I don't need the microphone. In October, we had a family chili feed, and I was greatly surprised that we call him Rainy. Rainy was here, and it was just an awesome time, and just to see him very short ago, and to bring back memories, and to talk. And of course he had his sandals and shorts and tie-dyed shirt, and he said he was staying in Sioux Falls for the winter and he might have to wear socks. Wasn't real happy about that happening, but he said that's what he was gonna do. But we have done so many things with their family. One year, Uncle Raymond and Aunt Carol and Kelly and Ramey, myself, my mom and my dad, and my younger brother and sister went to Canada. And the 4 older kids were sitting way in the back and just doing what kids do. And, you know, I'm so glad that I have those wonderful, wonderful memories of going to Uncle Ray and Aunt Carol and spending all the time with the kids.
Thanks, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Way too many stories to think of just one, but I had a funny thought when I was sitting here nursing my baby under Ray's shirt. Ray would be very proud to have a baby nursing under his shirt.
Well, Renee, that leads right into the time breast milk went into the soup.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to tell that tale?
I just did.
Okay, so when I had my first baby, that's 15 years ago, so when I took the young one out, he had to go to the hospital for almost 3 weeks, and hence I had 6 gallons of miniature bags of breast milk in the freezer that didn't really need using because he wouldn't drink out of a bottle. So Keith decided to make use of that, and he made a chowder. And he didn't tell anybody what was in the chowder.
And it was good.
After they ate it, and then he said, so how do you like that? Well, guess what was in it?
Carol?
I would probably be remiss if I didn't thank all of you and thank you for being Ray's friends. And also, I need to thank Ray for introducing me to an awful lot of you. I would not know you had it not been for him. And mostly that's good. But I do have to say that I've met some absolutely wonderful people. They are great friends today and continue to be. And thank all of you for being here. And thank you for being Ray's friends.
Okay. Nobody ever had trouble. I do thank everyone who is here today, and again, I go back to thanking Ray because we met so many beautiful people and people that he genuinely loved, and I would say everyone in this room is his family, and so you're our family. His mom, some of you haven't noticed. I miss him, but I also am hoping that all of the beautiful people who are left behind, well, keep it alive. I liked the idea, someone on the website, on the Facebook page said, we're all Raybo in a sense. And I think he gave us all something. And thank you so much for being here. And thanks for the hugs, I'm gonna get more.
I'm gonna try. I'm related to Ray. I love you very much, and I know he loved you guys and everybody. He kind of loved everybody, come to think of it, you know. Sometimes we'd sit and talk, you know, and we really didn't say much, but we sure enjoyed fishing. That's it. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you, Ray.
I do know so many, but I know that I am going to ask one person, or maybe a couple, but I know Michelle knows him so well, and he enjoyed so much working at the coffee shop. Would you say a few words? He always said you work, what was it? I want to work. And he would, Michelle had the coffee shop in Sioux Falls, and he'd say, you have to come down and try the white chili. Then when Ray Sr. found out that it was chicken, he thought, oh, I don't know if I want chicken chili. But he did, Ray Sr. and Ray Jr. both really enjoyed the biscuits and gravy. and he even, Ray Sr. enjoyed the white chili. And her brother, Martin, or Janitor Bob. Maybe Janitor Bob. This is Michelle's brother.
As somebody mentioned before, there are way too many stories for me to pick one from my experiences with Ray to try to share, but I'll try and tell you the best story I ever heard Ray tell. It takes a while, so bear with me. I'll try to paraphrase. When he told it to me, it took damn near an hour. So I don't know how much you know about his time on the island, but one of his best friends was known as Walt the Salt. Walt was a captain of his own ship. He lived on his own ship, and when you go visit Walter, he'd say, permission to come aboard. You'd hear from down the captain, permission granted. Down there for a little while, so I don't know him real well, but those two hired on somebody to take a 60-foot wooden yacht that was about 40 or 50 years old from Port Isabel, Texas to Veracruz, Mexico. It needed to be refurbished by the artisans down there that did work on wooden boats. So they take off, just the two of them, going to cross the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to take them several days to get there. They get out quite a ways, maybe a day and a half, 2 days out in the middle of absolute nowhere. They're not in any shipping lanes. I mean, there is nothing around but black sky and billions of stars. And something goes horribly wrong, and the hydraulics kick the rudder hard over to one side. One of them sleeping down in the hold, and I think the other one was up on deck, but nobody was anywhere near the controls, and the thing starts whipping around in a great big circle, which wasn't that bad until they started hitting their own wake. And then it's like a 60-foot, 40-year-old jet ski going boom, hitting that wake, and just all up and down. The radio tower got torn off the boat, and the radar and the radio and everything, bit of electronics they had, except for a little ship-to-shore radio, gets destroyed. And somehow one of them makes it up there and they shut it down, and now they're stuck out in the middle of nowhere with no way to communicate to anybody. And they're scared to death. And so they're trying to fix it, and they can't. And Ray told me, he said at one point, he was in the water, and I suppose Walt was down there with him. You know, they're trying everything they can. I don't know much about boats or the system, but you know, they tried everything they could think of. I think they cut some lines and the thing was still frozen over. And he had an old, just a little lightweight claw hammer. And he was hanging onto the boat with one hand and just beating on that rudder, and Ray is a strong fella. I mean, to tell you now, he's about half again what I am, and so if he's swinging, it's hard. He said he bent that hammer from straight up and down till it wrapped clear all the way back around his fist, and he had to hold it upside down and was just hitting it like this. And he did that for over an hour, hanging in the water there. You know, there's sharks everywhere, you know, and I don't believe they were bothering them, but they're scared. You know, there's nobody around, no boats coming this way. They've only got so much water to make their voyage. So eventually, he does get it free. But now the rudder just goes like this. So, you know, there's no way to steer. And I think they might have had like an early addition to the GPS, and they figured out where they needed to go. And they throttled one engine up just a little bit higher than the other so that they could fight the current and be going in more or less a straight line. And they check it every 15 or 20 minutes, and they retweak the motors a little bit. And so now they're heading for Veracruz, and they're out there doing this for over a day. And they're getting there, and they're getting there. And they got no way to tell anybody. Nobody knows really that they're coming. And then he went downstairs, and the boat was starting to sink. And he went down in the bottom, there was 2 or 3 feet of water down there, and he went up to tell Walt. And so I don't know if he started bailing by hand or if they had a pump that they got going, but they're still, you know, they're trying to make way and they're trying to get there, and now they're really scared. They get within, I don't know how many miles they are from shore. They can't see shore, but Walter speaks enough Spanish that he starts talking into the ship to shore. And they get lucky, and there's some guy walking the beach. I don't know if he was just walking or doing the metal detector thing or whatever, but he understands Walt, and he calls the Coast Guard. So here comes the Coast Guard. And I don't think they could hear the guy responding to them, so they didn't know the Coast Guard was coming. The guy heard them, and when he tried to respond, they didn't hear them. So they're going down now, and they're out in the middle of the doggone ocean. Finally, here comes the Coast Guard, and they think they're rescued. And they try to talk to those guys, but same kind of a deal. There's a little bit of a language barrier, even with Walt speaking pretty good Spanish. And they hook up to their boat, and they start to haul them out to sea. They're not hauling horses, and they're going the other direction. And now they're waving their arms, and they're yelling. They're like, no, we want to go this way. And the guy's like, you know, yep, we see you, buddy. You know, just waving at them. They're hauling them out to sea, and so now they're just frantic, and they're just losing their minds, and you know, just screaming at these guys. Still, they don't know what the hell's going on. The boat's dropping lower in the water all the time. Well, turned out there was a fishing trawler out in the ocean that was closer than the shore was. So they were towing them out to this trawler to try to put the Coast Guard cutter on one side and the trawler on the other, and lash them to the boat and make it like a big life preserver so they can get back. And while they're doing this, there's some young fella, kind of a rookie, at the wheel of the Coast Guard cutter, and he gets in just a little bit too close and just caves in one side of the front of the boat, and so now they're really taking on water, and the damn thing's starting to fall apart, and they're responsible for this thing. It's worth tens of thousands of dollars, and they've signed off on it, but they're going to take it down there for this. And so they finally start taking them into port. When they get there, they put them in dry dock, and there's some military guys there, and they won't let them off the boat. And they don't know who the hell these guys are. They don't know where they're coming from. They don't know if they're smugglers, if they threw their stuff overboard. They don't know, you know, what the hell they're doing. So they put them in dry dock, and they leave them there, and they take their papers. And this guy disappears for a while, and he comes back, and I believe he gave them back to him. But then the next guy shows up, and he's like, looks like the commandante. I mean, he's military for sure. You know, it's not some local yokel. This guy means business. And he takes the papers and disappears for about 2 days, I think. And they're just sitting there about 6, 8 feet off the ground on the boat. Armed guards around them, won't let them off the boat. And eventually, and they don't really know how or why, but after all of that, and they've been, I think they were stuck in that dry dock for almost a week with, you know, they bring them some food and water every day. And finally some guy just showed up, and he was kind of like a janitor or something. You know, he just come walking in one day and gave them back their papers, and he was like, okay. And like told them they could go about their business. And so I suppose eventually they must have got the boat fixed and done what they were supposed to do and got paid. But the most amazing part of that whole story that Ray told me of being out there in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. And if you've ever been out there in a place like that, or out in the desert somewhere where there's absolutely no light pollution and you can really see the stars, he told me there was a meteor shower. And when we see a shooting star, it's just like, boom, you know, and you might see one, you might see it burn for about a second or so across the sky, but a really long one. Well, he told me this, and it's always stuck with me. Every time I see a shooting star, I think of it. He said, when you're out there in that black and you see a shooting star coming, he says, you're on one side of the boat and you watch it come. And then you quick run around to the other side of the boat and you watch it go. And he said it lasts for, 8, 10, 12, 14 seconds sometimes. And he just never seen anything like it. And of all the things I've ever done with Ray and all of his friends and all the stories and times that you've had with him too, that's just sort of how I think about Ray. He's like this shooting star that rocked through my world, and you've done so much with him and shared so much with him that you forget until you really stop to think about it, how much you got from the guy. And so, whether it was coming or going, he was a star for me and for so many people, and I'm just really grateful that I got to know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
I just got one real quick, little brief announcement. If there is, whoever has a Chevy Colorado pickup, it's a black pickup, 7 county plates, is parked out here. It's fine where it's parked, but if we had a chance to move it, we'd be able to park a few more cars kind of in the grass in the cemetery. So if you don't mind, whoever maybe has that pickup, I can move it for you. If you don't want to leave, I would be glad to move it for you. Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you guys. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Anybody else? Something they'd like to say? Anybody? Just to let you know, there's cake and lemonade over here to share, and if you haven't seen the video yet, that's something you need to do, so thank you all for coming.
There is also some cake and some coffee and some lemonade in this side room over here, and you guys are all welcome to kind of, help yourselves at your convenience and continue to visit and share. So I will, yep, I'll turn up the sound now for the video, and that'll be good.
Thank you.
First one.